Hey, it's Barça here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about what would have happened if Thiago Alcantara had stayed at Barcelona in 2013. Back when he left, Barcelona had a very stacked midfield and Barça could go without him. But some years later, the Blaugrana definitely started to regret selling him to Bayern Munich. So make sure to stay tuned as you look into Thiago's journey and how things would have looked if he had stayed at Barcelona. In the 2010-2011 season, Thiago started to get game time in Barca's first team under Pep Guardiola as a 19-year-old midfielder. In one of Barcelona's greatest teams of all time, he didn't fail to make his impact and he showed promising signs when he was put on the pitch. As a controlling midfielder who came up through the youth ranks of La Masia, he was seen as Xavi's replacement in the long term, and everything pointed towards him being a future Barca legend. That summer though, Barcelona signed Cesc Fabregas, who was back then easily one of the best midfielders in world football. Barcelona now had Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Fabregas and Thiago all as options on the midfield. So it's fair to say there was a lot of competition for the young Thiago, but even then he got a good amount of game time and scored a few goals and gave a few assists in the 2011-2012 season. He was definitely improving and he had his place in the first team. Next season though, he wouldn't get any more game time than the season before. Furthermore, he got injuries twice and spent a lot of the season on the sidelines. He felt like he had lost his place in the first team and wasn't really essential for Barcelona's midfield. 2 years ago he would have been happy with that, but he was becoming older and wanted to be a starting 11 player. Since neither Xavi, Iniesta or Fabregas was going to leave in the summer of 2013, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Thiago eventually left Barcelona for Bayern Munich. The fact that Guardiola was Bayern's coach at the time definitely was an extra motivation for Thiago to go there. He knew he would get playing time. And at that moment, Bayern Munich had just won the Champions League and were basically the best team in the world. During his first 2 years with the Rekordmeister, he had a lot of injury problems. And though he did play well when Guardiola gave him the chance, he wasn't one of Bayern's star players. From the 2015-2016 season onwards though, he managed to stay fit and did become one of Bayern Munich's star players. In the coming 5 years, he would go on to become one of the best midfielders in the world and he was a crucial part of the team that won the Champions League in 2020. And during that same period that he became a world-class midfielder at Bayern Munich, Barcelona started to decline, especially in midfield. Fabregas left the season after Thiago did, Xavi left in 2015, Iniesta left in 2018, and Busquets was still world-class but did become less consistent. So what would everything have looked like if Thiago had just stayed in 2013? Well, the season after he might have had his injury problems too, and not have gotten too much game time just like the season before. The situation would have started to look quite hopeless and fans would have started to doubt him as Xavi's replacement for the controlling midfielder role. In the summer of 2014 though, Fabregas left and with Thiago still being an option, Ivan Rakitic would have probably never been signed. If he had managed to stay fit that year, I think he would have become a real starter like Rakitic did in reality really and made his full breakthrough. After Xavi left in 2015, Thiago would have become a crucial player for the Blaugrana, and he would have started to slowly become one of their star players at this point. And what's actually weird is that Rakitic and Thiago aren't the same type of player. Thiago is more like Xavi and is a midfielder you need to dictate the play and keep possession, while Rakitic has got more attacking impulses and is more of an energetic midfielder. In the period of 2016 till 2020, in reality, Barcelona had good control over La Liga, which would have been the same with Thiago. They dominated the Copa del Rey as they usually do, but in the Champions League they famously bottled it every year. Against Atletico in 2016, Juventus in 2017, Roma in 2018, Liverpool in 2019 and Bayern Munich in 2020, Barcelona wasn't able to deal with the intensity that the opposite team played with, made defensive errors and couldn't get the attackers to play their game. They lacked someone like Xavi, someone who could keep the ball and not lose possession leading to dangerous attacks, someone who can control the pace of the game and dictate the play to just have overall control over the game, someone who can make the play from deep to get the attackers in the situations that they most thrive in. Some years ago, Xavi used to be that player, but Rakitic wasn't really the midfielder who would do this. In a game where just Busquets and Iniesta were enough to have control over the game, or where Iniesta was just so good that he could control the game himself, Rakitic was great, and offensively he was more of a threat than Xavi ever was. But in these big games, Busquets and an aging Iniesta together weren't enough to control the game. And the problem only got bigger after Iniesta left. Barcelona clearly lacked someone like Thiago. If he had stayed, he would have probably become world-class and eventually probably Barca's best midfielder. I genuinely think that with him, Barcelona wouldn't have suffered all of the humiliations in big European games, and Barcelona would have easily had 1 or 2 more Champions League trophies with someone like him in the team. So that's the difference Thiago staying could have made, and the big thing is that economically things would have gone better too. The prize money of the Champions League together with the popularity of being the best team in the world, who knows, maybe Barca wouldn't have ended up in a financial mess. though you never know it with this guy being the president of your club. And today, Thiago would have probably slowly started to pass on his role to Gavi or Pedri, so from here on there wouldn't really be too much of a difference. So, though all that I've just said is only hypothetical and for all we know Thiago might just have flopped as Xavi's replacement, Barcelona's past years would have probably looked very different if he had stayed. In the beginning, his career would have been frustrating and the fans would have doubted him, but eventually he would have probably become Xavi's replacement. The fact that he played well for Barça under Guardiola shows you that he perfectly fits at Barça, so taking up that role would have suited him. And with him, Barcelona's dark time wouldn't have been as dark probably. The Champions League count might have been on 6 or 7 rather than 5 at this point. But in reality, Thiago had a great career at Bayern Munich, so for him personally it was far from a bad decision to leave Barça in 2013, while Barça on the other hand only declined from the moment Xavi left. So for Barça, losing him turned out to be a bad thing. At the end we can only dream of what things would have been like if Thiago Alcantara had stayed, and it's definitely a shame that he never really made it at Barcelona. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion on Thiago in the comments down below. Força Barça and have a good day.